What's up you guys, it's 2bricks and I'm here with a new video because I was inspired by these two recent LEGO sets, both of which depict very different types and eras of Batmobile. I was so impressed with these sets and the builds and the nostalgia that I got from creating both of these, building them out of the box, that I just felt like I needed to expand on this collection here. So I'm here today to show you my two Batmobile MOCs, which will be the 1992 animated series Batmobile and the 1989 whenever the sequel came out, Tim Burton era Batmobiles. These are the ones that I felt I absolutely needed to have to complete my new fond collection of Batmobiles, and so I'll be showing you guys the kind of features and such as they are for these two small models today. And also, if you want to build these for yourself, there are instructions available on Rebrickable, which I've put a link to in the description and in the pinned comment. You guys can check those out and you can support the channel by purchasing those. It will be $5 each, and you will get a PDF of the instructions. You'll get a parts list that lets you export really easily to Bricklink, where you can purchase the bricks that you need. And that's really all that there is that you kind of need to have to create one of these for yourself. So if you guys are nostalgic about this particular era of Batman, as I am, because that was when I was growing up, what was kind of the popular thing, then yeah, you can go ahead and grab that and have those in your collection as well. So without further ado, let's get into the models, and I'll show you each of them one at a time, and we'll kind of take a look at what they can do and yeah, the little kind of features that they have. So let's dive in. All right, so we'll start with the Tim Burton / Michael Keaton era Batmobile, since this is the one that sort of inspired the other one. This was kind of the genesis for the animated series version. As you can see here, I've attempted to replicate the form of the Batmobile as much as I possibly could. The way that the whole front section has this really nice kind of specific curve here, where it kind of curves around the wheel arch there and then comes down to this very fine point, and then that itself kind of curves in to the center here, and then also gets narrower towards the middle to kind of create that that really interesting sort of pinched look at the front. The turbine here with the fan kind of indicated inside of there with the that wheel spoke detail, and just the way that all of this kind of comes together in the form of it. Sorry, I know black logo is really difficult for you guys to kind of see, and I'm trying to get as many angles on it as possible so that the light catches and you guys can really appreciate the different viewpoints on this, because this is a very smooth and intricate model that I'm really proud of, and I want to make sure you guys can actually register all of the different the areas that I'm really proud of. This has a simple removable canopy right here, which just relies on these two pieces, and you can seat your Batman down in there. He's got enough room to sit, and he's got a couple of control kind of surfaces in here, and those are on either side. There's no steering wheel because I just needed the room for the Batman to actually sit, but you can just tuck him in there, and then you can kind of lean him back so his bat ears get tucked in kind of underneath that little section right there, and then that can just slip back on and you're good to go. So you can see Batman down in there. If you see it at the right angle, you can see quite clearly there. He's able to see out of the windshield, so that's really nice. I have the mounted machine guns here, which are just obviously removable since they're just a stud and a bar piece there. So I thought that was an important thing to be able to kind of add on. And without those, you can see it just has that more kind of sleek look that you're probably used to seeing from toys and things. Down here we have the nice kind of mechanical side engine detail, which I'm not really sure exactly what that's exactly supposed to represent, but I know that in this area is where the kind of grappling hook shoots out of, because this thing is so huge that it actually has trouble taking corners. So Batman, whenever he wants to do a sharp left or right turn, he has to shoot out a grappling hook to enable him to round that corner. So I think that's hilarious. I don't have a spot for it, but I imagine that this little detail area right here is where that would come emerge from. Then we have this big kind of air scoop intake thing here, which is a really difficult thing to represent because it sits at this really specific angle where it comes out of the Batmobile. It has this vent detail behind it with these kind of cutout slats here, and then it has a really specific shape too with this kind of hollow interior. So I thought that this this bowl piece in black made for a really good attempt at getting that detail right, but I think that's the one thing that's always stumbled or stumped different model builders that attempt this But I really think at this scale, this is the best solution for that piece there. I think even the Ultimate Collector Series gigantic Batmobile suffered from not quite getting that exactly right. But yeah, we can see here that the front tires and the back tires are different radiuses. These ones have the much chunkier tires at the back, and these ones are the more slick ones that we are used to from the Speed Champions line. And then also with the little kind of insignia, which would have the bat symbol on it, you know, sticking out of the center of the hubcaps there. It's exactly the same side to side, so no differences there. And then when we look at it from the back, you can see here that we have the brake lights, which are two different sizes. Again, the one at the bottom sticks out further and is supposed to be a smaller light. So I have this Baraki eye piece here that I'm using for that one, and then just the regular stud on top because it's just a little bit larger. And then this is obviously where the flame would emanate from, the famous flame exhaust, which barely worked on this particular filming model. They just had to kind of like, I think they just threw some propane in there and lit it for the shots where it needed to be, you know, on fire. And it was definitely a very, very janky kind of situation on set. But of course, it looks super cool in the movie, and you know, you have to imagine that that's kicking out some awesome jet power or whatever this thing is supposed to do. But yeah, of course, that's represented there. And I have this a new, relatively new, really shallow wheel arch piece here that just covers over that area just perfectly, like it's supposed to in the real model. And so I'm really happy with how that all turned out. And of course, this whole section back here is really nicely sloped and very, very smooth and slick. This thing is almost entirely studless. You can see there's just these ones here and these at the front, which I just couldn't avoid. But yeah, mainly a very, very slick and studless model. So really, really proud of that. These extra exhausts down here are represented with the binocular pieces that are pretty well secured in there. Sometimes these can be annoying to get in there, but these are sitting inside of the headlight brick pieces, so they're kind of supported with a stud, and also at the back you have this little lip here that kind of just clutches onto it, and that just holds them in there really nice and secure. So I'm really happy with how that all functions as well. So as far as actual action features, so to speak, you have the cockpit that opens, and you have these fins at the back, which are technically posable, although of course I only made them that way so that you could set them at this very, very specific angle where from the top you can see that they get narrower, they fan upwards and outwards, and so I wanted to make sure that you could do that with my model. And so you have these adjustable kind of claw bar pieces here that just perfectly kind of capture that look, and this really, really narrow gap in here where the bar is kind of hugged up against, as close as I could get it, to the inner body here, using some very tricky techniques on the inside here to just position that exactly how I wanted it. So that was all really tough to figure out, but I'm really glad that I did, because I think that gives it just the right look that you want for this era of Batmobile. So yeah, really, really happy with that. From the bottom here, you can see it's all super simple. It's just very, you know, standard plate construction, lots of interlocking wedge plates to get the exact specific shapes that I want. And that's about that. So there it is. It can roll, of course. That's, I guess, another feature, if you will. And, you know, it's essential for any car that's worth its salt, right, to be able to roll. And there you go. So there is the Burton era Batmobile. There's really not much more to say about it. I'm really, really happy with it. I think that it turned out just how I wanted. Let me just reattach the machine guns here so Batman can, you know, shoot up some people as he did in the 90s. And there you go. All right, and next up we have the animated series Batmobile. And this, for you guys who might not know or be from that era, this is from the 1992 Batman the Animated Series. That was the actual name of it, series. And it's, you know, it has a really, really great opening credit sequence that is just so slick and well animated, and the art direction on it is incredible. So for people like me who are animators and into animation, it's kind of a, you know, a legendary thing. So I really, really love, there's this shot of it where it's kind of coming at the screen in this very kind of foreshortened way, and you just see all the lights kind of flying by it, and it just looks so cool and so slick. And so I knew that I had to replicate this in Lego. So that is what I've done here. As far as action features, it's kind of the same as the other one in terms of the fact that it rolls. So you have that. And of course, this also has the removable cockpit, which can seat your the Batman in there. With this one, I actually designed it using this, the Batman that came with the animated series version, which has the shorter ears. And then later on, I realized when I put a standard, kind of more common Batman figure with the cowl in there, His ears are just too tall to fit, so what you have to do is just remove this tile on the top, and then you can go ahead and access your Batman and bring him out of the cockpit. So same deal as before, we have the 2 consoles on either side there, and not much room for anything else. So, you know, Batman just sits down in there comfortably, and he has a couple of studs, and you lean him back, place the roof pieces back on, because, you know, 2 different sections, and there you go. And like I said, if you have a standard minifigure or a non-Batman with the tall ears Batman, that will fit in there fine, and then otherwise you just do have to do that extra bit of modification. But with this one, obviously you can see it's sleekness is the name of the game where this is concerned. You know, you have all these really tight, very streamlined lines that run right the way through this thing from front to back. It has this ultra smooth curve that runs through here that kind of slopes down over the wheel arch and into this front section that just kind of all melts together, and it's just absolutely a beautiful, gorgeous design, and I'm so happy that I was able to do it justice, at least enough for my eyes. I'm using these kind of arm with bar attachment pieces here for the front grille because it just gives it that exact perfect look. You have it's actually 4 grille sections, so I'm using these rounded plates at the bottom to kind of finish that look. And then it gives you that little gap in the middle there, which just registers as the black line, which would run down the center of that grille. So it's absolutely a perfect solution. And again, some really tricky building to get that to sit in there at the exact right angle and have the space for everything that I want it to get. And then, you know, the hood just runs right the way back here, so sleek, and it's so extended, it's almost, you know, I mean, it's a cartoon, so it's obviously kind of a caricature of a real car, but it's just hilarious just how long this thing is. And, you know, we have the kind of piping detail in here, which I used a mix of silver elements and dark gray elements to give it a kind of a little bit of an alternating pattern, so like maybe the light catches it just in certain sections, and it just gives it a really nice kind of chrome / greasy, dirty engine type of look. So I'm really happy with that. On the bottom here, same goes as before. Very standard kind of plate construction. Here we have for the headlights, I used this orange bracket piece, and so the bottom of that just has to poke out of here, unfortunately. There's nothing I can really do to hide that because the clearance on this thing is so low that there's really no way to cover that. You know, this thing is sitting just a fraction of a millimeter off the ground, so that was something that, you know, it's really difficult to do anything about that. But, you know, from any reasonable angle, you're obviously never going to see that, so I think it's okay. And then, of course, this part here was really tricky. So the whole car tapers back in by a half stud, so from the front. So this section and this section are both 8 studs wide, and then in this middle section it goes down to 7 studs, so each side had to lose half a stud. And that was just surprisingly really tricky to figure out how to get that to fit in there and be stable, and to not have anything kind of colliding back here with the different you know, rounded plates and tiles that I used to get that to fit in there just right. That was really tricky, so I'm really glad that I was able to figure it out. It's very sturdy, it's definitely not going anywhere, and that all worked out great. But yeah, that took, for sure, it was a bit of a headache for me to figure that out. I'm not great at Lego math and stuff, so I kind of do things by trial and error a lot of the time, and so I had to do a lot of errors before I got it just right. So yeah, it has the kind of air intake scoop here, which is a much simplified version of, you know, on the Batmobile you have this, like I said, the grills and the big bucket here. This is just a very simple kind of slot that's cut out in this kind of V shape in here, and then just that lets the air into that section, and I think that works out just fine. And then we have kind of this nice kind of tapered off bat wing look, and instead of those large, you know, fins with the various spikes coming off of it, this is just kind of this really simplified graphic design back here, and I really like that. And it's got the embedded tail lights in there as well, and then a similar setup here with the flame engine kind of element here, and then the 2 exhausts at the bottom represented with these hollow studs. So I actually did also include a back window, so you can see the back of Batman's head through there right now. I don't know how canonical that is to the real thing, but I did see some toys that had a version that was like that, and I thought that, you know, since it was just going to be a standard black brick back there and you could barely see it, may as well just include a window and then have it be kind of roadworthy. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm using these nice 45-degree cut triangle plates back here to give it the bat ears off of the back of this, you know, the cockpit section, and I think that gives it exactly the right kind of look that you want to see. And you know, just all of this kind of tapering into the middle and kind of creating this little scooped out area in the back here for the engine and all that stuff. I think just works out really great. This is such a fantastic car design, and I think that the people who created it back in the 90s or late 80s should definitely be commended. I think this is a fantastic caricature of the Tim Burton era Batmobile, and I love it. It's actually my all-time favorite Batmobile, so there you go. So yeah, that's really all there is to say about this one, and I'm just super happy to have it. It sits on my desk while I'm working, and every now and then I glance over at it, and it just makes me happy. So hopefully it can do that for you as well. So there you have it, you guys. Two different Batmobiles from two very close eras here that are kind of, in a way, they're sort of brothers in the fact that they're sort of an adaptation one of the other, and the fact that the Batman animated series was kind of meant to be a spiritual continuation of the Burton films. So I'm really, really happy to have these in my collection. And yeah, hopefully you guys got a kick out of it. Hopefully I showed you everything you wanted to see. I know there wasn't much in the way of action features, so to speak, or play features on these, but yeah, I'm still happy with how they look. I think aesthetically they get the job done, and I'm really proud of them. So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe for more content. There's definitely more on the way. I know that it's been really slow lately. Videos have been trickling out. That's just because I'm extremely busy, and you guys know that animation is a time-intensive endeavor, let's just say that. So I definitely want to be creating videos for you guys more often, but just having the time and energy to do so is tricky. Please do bear with me. There's definitely more things on the horizon for sure. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and bye for now.